Because you can say you're accountable to yourself, but let's be honest.
Who is?
You all say you are until you lock that door,
right.
And then it's a whole different world. Mm-hmm. The difference between a lot of this is
I'm accountable to a lot of people.
Nobody wants to be, though. Right. That's like, it's such a big problem in the world today.
It's ego.
So like I've had multiple coaches. That's what, and I still attend the coaching sessions that they have live on the classes that I went to.
Right.
And I watch and I learn and I grow, and I don't listen to the radio. Right now I'm listening to another psych book in the car on the way here, on the way to work. That's what I listen to. Mm-hmm. I don't need to memorize the next great song unless it's Jelly Rolls, dude. I got you. For that too.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Talk Our Podcast. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. We are working on cures today, ladies and gentlemen. We got life sewed up. We know how to live. We're going to tell you how to live. You're going to do step by step exactly what we say, or you will fail as a human being.
Exactly. There's really only two steps, and we'll get into that.
True story, though. We're idiots. Don't listen to a thing we said. If you don't, it's up to you. At your own prerogative.
We are not doctors. We are not financial. But this is a disclaimer, by the way. We are not doctors. I think I am one. I believe I am one. If you're in a medical emergency and I have to do something, as long as you sign on the dotted line, I'll take care of you.
Waiver. Sign the waiver.
Just a slight waiver. It says I'm not responsible for anything that happens after this.
That's so bad.
That's when all it says in the paper, actually.
I will
not hold Brian responsible for anything that happens to me beyond this specific time.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Talk Our Podcast. My name is Marty Norman. This is
still Brian Gordon.
That's Brian Gordon. Brian Gordon, man. What are we talking about today? What's going on in your world?
I wasn't even joking, man. I'm talking about life. I have gotten.
I hate life.
I've gotten people lately, clients, otherwise friends, just messaging me. Got a message from a fan today that was kind of fun. Everybody overcomplicates life just way too much. So I want to break it down into two very simple things. Okay.
Well, you say simple, man. That's a matter of perspective.
No, that's the reality of it. It is simple.
It's perspective.
Of course it is. You can see it as complicated. If I ask you to spell the word for, you can make that complicated. Like F-O-U-R or F-O-R, or in Chris's world. Y-O-R. There you go.
I'm a drug addict, so I tend and I love to make things complicated. Yeah. That's just how I live my life.
And a lot of people do, but like, okay, step number one. This is the first thing. I came to this epiphany the other day when I was talking to someone about their wants, right? So the reality of life is you don't get the things you want. However, you do attract the things that you are.
Yes, I agree with that.
So stop focusing on the things that you want and become what you are, and a byproduct of that will become all of those things. It is very simple in reality, as long as you stay focused on the actual goal, which is yourself. Again, I've said this a million times. We focus on the outside world so much to give validation inside, and then we wonder why we're constantly chasing money or chasing attention or chasing X, Y, and Z, right? It's a constant chase because that's never going to fill the void. You have to fill the void inside of yourself. So until you will take the time with yourself and focus on yourself, you're never going to get anything. You're going to spend your life walking in circles. So just do yourself a favor and just start walking in circles now and get it over with.
It's such a thin line, because, this is that thin line. It's a razor's edge when you're talking about, because we talk about grinding, we talk about chasing, we talk about, going, stop making excuses, stop sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? Yeah. All these things, right? And yet it's, I say this all the time, like you don't get what you want out of life, right? You get what you are. And if you don't like what you are, start becoming, right? Because, if you was, and we talked about this before, if you was to grasp the things that you wanted in the current state that you're in, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up losing that anyway. Well, the change has to come from within.
It's not about what you have, it's about what you keep.
Okay.
Right?
I get that.
So this is why you hear story after story after story about these big money millionaires that are miserable, because they believed that the chase for all of this money was going to satisfy them. And then they get to the end of the rope and they're like, what? That was so anticlimactic.
Well, there's also people like myself who are just in love with the chase too. You know, I don't know. I really don't know, because I'm not chasing after possessions, so to speak. I'm not chasing after monetary. I'm just chasing because that's who I am. Like you said this last week. Like I'm always trying to become a better version of me, right? And that ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes I'm just great. I'm the best thing that's ever happened.
Yep.
You know, and I feel good, and I'm doing things that I feel good about, and I'm having relationships that I feel good about, and I'm showing up when I say it. You know, just it's the 47 little things in my day that make me feel good, whether I accomplish those or whether I fail at those little things.
Right.
You know, and these are tiny things. You know, but when I'm feeling good, and you know, that's what I'm seeking the most of subconsciously. Mm-hmm. You know, really, I'm just trying to, and this is something maybe since you're an undocumented therapist.
I am legal to be in the United States, by the way. That's not what he means.
Canceled. You know, I forgot where I was going with that, but, you know, I don't know why I am the way I am. It has to do with feeling inadequate, right?
Okay.
And I think it's 25 years of drug addiction, of always failing myself and always living in such a miserable state of existence and just like hating myself.
Did you fail yourself? Again,
Yeah.
This is always my question. Why?
Yeah, I did.
If that wouldn't have happened, you wouldn't be where you are today.
No.
So you ultimately didn't fail yourself.
You see the circles we go
We're
in
looking
here?
at things, but we're looking at things in a non-linear path. Life is linear. It has to, has to flow, and it has to keep moving. And it's not about that moment. It's about the end result.
In that state of mind,
Yeah.
I was a complete failure.
Right.
I was a loser. I truth be told, like I didn't feel I had any existence on this planet, and I didn't know how to have an existence. I was nothing, and I was really ready to die, to be honest.
But if I took a snapshot of that person in that moment and fast forwarded to today and showed you what that will lead to, would you still feel the same?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is what I mean. We complicate everything by failing to see the end result.
You did say this at the beginning. I told you I was going to complicate.
That's what we do. That's what I'm
podcast.
saying. The person that reached out to me today was doing the same thing. It was like this long paragraph, and I said, "Stop overcomplicating things. That's the first thing you need to understand. Life is like a puzzle. You open it up, and you're like, holy crap! All these things look like they should just go together. But what do? You look at the picture that it's supposed to be, right?" That's typically what people do. They look at the box, they see what it's supposed to be, and then they build a plan. Most people like to do the edges, right? So they piece all the edges together, and then piece by piece by piece, you just slowly put the puzzle together.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
We are all trying to do 45 things at once, and the reality of it is you can only do one of them at a time. So why are you trying to accomplish 45?
I disagree. I'm a multitasker. I like to do 47 things
Okay,
at once.
chewing bubblegum and walking are the same thing.
Are they, though? Because when I first got in recovery, that was difficult.
See, mine's even more complicated because I got to chew bubblegum, walk, and try to keep my teeth in at the same time.
Gorilla glue, right, Chris?
No, Chris ate all of it.
That's why I got all these.
It's just it's the simple things in life that we completely forget about.
Well, and here's where I'm at.
Like, I embrace my sadness. You can't be happy all the time. It's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
I embrace that sadness because it makes me appreciate those happy times. It doesn't change that I'm sad. I just know it's part of what I have to go through in life. So I don't let it debilitate me. I don't focus on it. I understand it's part of the journey, and it'll be over soon.
Yeah. This too shall end.
The journey to yes is through a bunch of no.
Agreed.
That's how it works. But one at a time. You couldn't get 45 people to tell you no at once and then jump to the next one person and get your yes. That's not how it works. We're always trying to do so much instead of just stopping, slowing down, taking a look at life. I've had so many people, I don't have time to meditate. You're telling me you can't wake up 10 minutes earlier when I'm willing to bet the first 15 minutes of your day is you trying to actually get up?
I'm willing to bet it's on Facebook.
It's like, what are we doing?
Scrolling.
Why are we spending so much time trying to figure out life? We waste a bunch of time trying to figure it out, and we're failing to live in the moment that brought us to where we are. We're failing to appreciate how we got here. I was talking to a family this weekend about recovery, and it was all of this like complicated stuff. And my responses were, I said, are you willing to get a little uncomfortable? Because you're probably not going to like what I'm going to say. And they kept saying a bunch of things. I said, that sounds like his problem, or that sounds like her problem. Like, what do you mean? Why are you trying to fix somebody else's problem? What are you doing right now? You're going to drive yourself insane. And that's what we do. We think that karma means that we sacrifice all of our happiness for someone else. And then we build a bunch of resentment and understand why karma hasn't come back. Because that's not how it works. Karma in its truest form, and in the form that I'm currently living in today, is that you just do. And it comes back because that's who you are.
That's it right there. And that's what the original start of this was. It's like, you're never going to get the things that you're striving for.
Right.
You're never going to acquire the life that you want, or the happiness that you want, or the contentment that you want if you're always seeking it from the outside. If you're seeking recognition, if you're seeking to be seen or heard, if you're you're always. And that's what we talked about last week, kind of like a lot of that. I say this often, to like shut all that off. Shut all the outside world off. If you're in a state to where you're feeling depressed, or you're early in recovery, or you're early in something new, right? You're starting a new something, whatever, you fill in the blank, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then shut everything off, because everything is a distraction at that point. I don't care if, especially in early recovery, like you're trying to figure out how to live life in a way that you've never done before. You're trying to change your behaviors and your mindsets and your all these different things. You need to shut off everything. And I don't care. You shut off your kids, shut off your family, shut off, any distraction from the outside world, friends, family. Shut that all off and spend some time with you. Spend some time with learning. And I mean learning by reading. Read. I say read all the time, and people, I think, put in their head like it's fiction books or something. Put fiction books.
Educate yourself. Let's put it that way, right? Because I don't read. I'm dyslexic as all get up.
Educate yourself.
It
Whatever
is
that
difficult
looks
for me to read. I do still attempt to read. Like me and my wife are going through the Bible again because we decided we wanted to like go back through it again and see if a perspective had changed. Right?
Sure.
Like things are different now. Beliefs are different now. I want to go back through it and see what I see differently.
It's because we talked about aliens, ain't it?
Yeah, I want to see if there's one in the Bible.
There's a million of them.
It's just this space where in reality, we are simple people. We're very simple. The brain is very simple. It runs off the unconscious, but we don't spend time to retrain it. Your personality is based on your personal reality. So if you are surrounded by negativity, stupid people, all of these things, right? Like if you're surrounded by this and then you wonder why your life sucks, but you're focused on every day why your life sucks. You're not focused on what can I do differently today? What can I change about my life? Who do I need to push out of my way?
And that's what I hate to hear the most is you said a minute ago, I don't have time for that. Like, you know what I mean?
I love it.
Or, and you ask somebody what their day looks like, and it's just like, you don't have time. You literally just had 9 hours of nothing. You know what I mean? It's just...
And sleep is important. I don't want people to take it the wrong way. I still get a good solid 7-8 hours a day.
Okay. Still. How many hours you got left if you get...
1,000%. That's what I mean. I laugh when people say, I don't have time. And I say,
work and I got this.
Let me draw you a map of my day and then tell me why you don't have time. Mm-hmm. When my day, like I wake up hours before I have to go to work.
And that's the thing right there.
Because it's quiet time. It's me time. I don't have to worry about anything but me. I'm married. When my wife gets up, it becomes partially about her. Like I want to pay attention to her because we're married and I love her and that's what I do. Right.
And if she got up the same time as you,
we would be divorced because she doesn't like to wake up that early. I just like but now, like, again, I've said it a million times. I don't even need an alarm clock. I laugh that I set my alarm clock because it never goes off. The only time it goes off is in the middle of my meditating. Sometimes when I forgot that I set my alarm.
Yeah.
But it's just the complications of life and the focus being in the wrong space when if you want to understand how simple your mind is, a fun little exercise you can do if you want by yourself, but if I tell you how this exercise works, it'll be different. So do it to someone else. Tell them to look around the room and like find everything that's red, right? And give them a few minutes and then tell them to close their eyes and then say, now tell me everything you saw that was blue. And they will go, because their brain jerks like, wait a minute, what? When literally you could be wearing a blue t-shirt and they wouldn't remember it because you asked them to focus on all the red. Because where we place our focus is where we place our energy. And when you hyper-focus, that is all you see. So if you want to change your life, hyper-focus on who you want to be. And don't let anything stop you, no matter what. And anybody that tries to stop you is a hater. They're just getting in your way because they don't want to see you succeed. They're afraid you're going to pass them by. And that sounds like their problem.
Yeah, and don't get stuck on that either, right? Because anytime you're doing anything good, well, or you're succeeding or you're making some gains in your life, there are people come out of the woodwork to try to tell you how you're doing it wrong.
I was actually just listening to that.
I know that all too well. All too well.
I was listening to Jelly Roll, who we're going to find you and you're going to come on the podcast.
Jelly Roll, come on.
He was doing an interview and the guy that was doing the interview said, how do you deal with the haters? And he was like, I got kind of excited because you know the haters only show up once you've actually started to succeed. Because until then, they don't care about you at all.
Arrived.
So when I started getting that hate, I was like, yeah, I've arrived, right?
Right.
That's when you know. Mm-hmm. Because that's part of the journey. People are so afraid of that. Like I had to talk with my wife. I said, you understand when this takes off, some negative attention is going to come with it.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast. Are you okay with that? Because this is the journey that I want to take. However, we're in this together and I want to make sure you understand. She was like, absolutely. Off we went. So haters, come on down. Join us.
It's kind of like Eminem and 8 Mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you put it all out there, like I have, like you put it all out there, like what can I say? Like, you know, and when they do, you're just like, yeah.
You just disarm the enemy.
That's it.
Right? It's like you can't say something about me that I've already said about myself because you're just trying to tear me down, but I've already accepted it.
Apparently you have not.
Because I had that talk with somebody. I did a lead over at one of the facilities here once. The guy came out afterwards and he was just like all angry about his 4th step and that his sponsor had like released all of his information. And I was like, so what? Like, who cares?
Right.
What is in there that you are so concerned with? Are you concerned with that? Or is it like this trust that was broken? Accept it, move on, get a new sponsor.
Right.
Don't let one thing predict the rest of your future.
Well, and then there's the other side of that coin too, where we as addicts and alcoholics, we're looking for that one thing.
Oh, absolutely.
We need that one thing just to blow it all off and say, "See, I told you so."
We were like an excuse slot machine.
That's it.
Waiting for that thing to hit the jackpot.
I can get drunk now,
Yep.
you know, and I'm no different, man. I'm no different when it comes to that, man. So I do have a firm belief that you don't see things how they are. You see things how you are. You know what I mean? You don't see the truth.
Well, I've said this to you 1,000 times. I remember you saying to me once this certain thing, and I said, you choose to be that way, Marty.
No, 100%.
Like, maybe I'm this. And I'm like, maybe you choose to be that.
Yeah, and that's how it works. Like, I see the things like that I want to see, right? Mm-hmm. It's those little things that creep up in your mind, the scenarios that creep in your mind about who you are and who you are not,
right?
That eat away at you subconsciously. You don't even know it. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a reality. Then it becomes your belief system. And then next thing you know, you're acting on that belief system, right? You're staying in tune with how you believe. And it just takes, and that's why we talk about therapy so much. That's why we talk about you being a coach so much and doing these things. Iron sharpens iron. Like the horrible thing is if you're in any kind of affliction, whether it be mental health or substance use, like you can't do this stuff alone.
Right.
And the same thing, and the same goes with life coaching. Like maybe you can do some stuff alone, but how much better is it if you got somebody in your corner who isn't like co-signing all your bullshit, who's calling you out and who's making you aware of certain things, who's making you aware of your belief systems or when because it varies. It goes offline. Sometimes I got a mindset to go from A to B and I'll turn to C, D, and F real quick and not even know it. And it just takes somebody to slap me in the face and say, look, man, no, hold on. What was that? Well, what are you doing? What do you even care for? And you're like, oh yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like the reason why pilots have co-pilots. It's the reason why drivers have navigators in like serious races.
Why people in recovery have sponsors.
Right.
And
it's the whole point. It's accountability, right? Because you can say you're accountable to yourself, but let's be honest.
Who is?
You all say you are until you lock that door.
Right.
And then it's a whole different world. Mm-hmm. The difference between a lot of this is
I'm accountable to a lot of people.
Nobody wants to be, though. That's like, it's such a big problem in the world today.
It's ego.
So like I've had multiple coaches. That's what, and I still attend the coaching sessions that they have live on the classes that I went to.
Right.
And I watch and I learn and I grow, and I don't listen to the radio. Right now I'm listening to another psych book in the car on the way here, on the way to work. That's what I listen to. I don't need to memorize the next great song unless it's Jelly Rolls, dude. I got you. But I don't, and then I take a break and I will listen to radio every now and then just to let my mind relax, because the brain is lazy. It doesn't want to do all of these things. So it's what's easiest. And so what you do is you retrain your unconscious to be the new lazy version that you want it to be. You got to get rid of the past, though. Therapy works on the past. Coaching works on the future.
There it is.
So I always tell people, work on your past. Figure things out. When you feel like you're stuck and you don't know how to get unstuck, come see me and let's get curious about what you want your future to look like. But you can't just want it. You have to become it.
And that's the importance of a coach. And any coach will tell you, it's just like with everybody wants to be something, wants to accomplish something, but they don't want to reach their hand out. And see, I always say this, man, I said this the last time, if you want to become a mechanic, you better start hanging out in a garage with mechanics. You better go to school for mechanics. You better read some books on mechanics. You gotta watch some damn YouTube videos on how to rebuild a carburetor.
Unlimited information.
You know what I mean?
It's accessible to us.
Just like with anything,
free.
Iron sharpens iron. If there's something you want to accomplish, something you want to do, something you want to be, somebody has already did it. So go find them people. Go find your peers and surround yourself with that.
Right.
And I promise you, it's just like the whole saying, if you want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires.
Yes.
If you want to be a drug addict, I guarantee you, all you got to do is go hang out with drug addicts.
It'll happen real quick.
And the opposite side of that, even if you don't want to be a drug addict, this is a good point. If you don't want to be a drug addict and you're hanging out with drug addicts, you're most likely going to be one anyway. You know what I mean? You are the sum total of your 5 closest friends, the 5 people that you hang out with, that you talk with the most. Yeah. You are going to be the sum total of that, whatever that is. If you're around a bunch of negative, excuse-giving, 44-ounce pop drinking, McDonald's loving, Netflix watching, that's what you're going to become. And if you want to be great, if you want to be somebody who's an entrepreneur, if you want to be in long-term recovery, you go hang out with those types of people.
Right.
And I promise you, just through physics alone, you will become that.
Well, so many people are attached to being good at things. You can be good at a lot of things, or you can be great at one.
Yeah.
Because greatness doesn't come in many forms, right? Jack of all trades, master of none, that kind of scenario. So I decided I want to be great at life. So I started taking life
that's such a
by the bull, though. You know what I mean? And I'm being dead serious.
Right, no, I get
life had kicked me so hard so many times that I was tired of it. And that leads me to number 2. And they go together. If you want to be successful, become a good problem solver. So what I started with first was my problems.
Okay.
Once I got a handle on my problems, why my head was operating this way, why my negative thoughts were taking over, why I was having horrible relationship situations. Here I was blaming the woman. Oh, yeah, there's just a bunch of out there. You know what I mean? Less than ideal women. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm literally attracting those things. So why am I blaming the women when that was what I asked for?
Yeah.
So once I started accepting that my responsibility lied with me, and I started dealing with my problems, it just became my life. And now that's what I do in work. That's what I do with coaching. That's what I do. And people come to me and they talk to me just naturally. Hey man, can I just ask you, I'm struggling with this. And it typically is just me asking back 3 or 4 questions. And they're like, never thought of it that way. That's the whole point. You never think about it that way until you do.
Like attracts like. And I know that to be a fact, If you're a negative, pessimistic person, that's the type of people you're going to attract. If you're a person who's always looking if you're a solution-based thinker, you're a go-getter, you come in early, you stay late, you always are, just these types of positivity, that's the type of person you're going to attract. That's the type of people you're going to attract into your life. And the more you can attract that, the more better you become, and then you attract those, and it's just this. What do you call it? The psychocynetic. How you say that?
It's a psycho-cybernetic loop.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Which is just a circle of thoughts that start with what you believe.
And everything.
So your belief dictates your thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your emotions. Your emotions dictate your actions. Your actions dictate your results.
And everything.
And they just reinstill your beliefs.
And everything starts with your belief system.
Plain and simple. So believe in yourself.
Right.
But you can't believe in yourself until you start dealing with your own problems.
Right.
Once you start dealing with your own problems, then you take that into the workforce, you are like a nugget of titanium and platinum and gold and you name it, because you are the structure that holds it all together, because everybody has problems. Mm-hmm. So then I shot a rate out to a customer the other day, or a client that was reaching out to me, and his knee-jerk reaction was like, holy crap. And my knee-jerk reaction was, how much is your life worth? Mm-hmm. Can you put a value on that? Mm-hmm. Because to me, it's priceless. So why are you focusing on the dollar and not on the end result of what we're about to accomplish?
Right.
Stop focusing on the little things and keep it simple. I want my life to be better. This is what I need to do. These are the steps that I need to take. And I'm going to do them one by one. You can't run with both feet at the same time.
Everybody wants that end result, and everybody, we as humans, and especially us as addicts and alcoholics, man, we want that end result. We want it yesterday, right? But the majority of people aren't willing to put in this step-by-step work that it takes, the daily, every minute, every day grind it takes in order to do that. And that's why most of us fail. That's why I don't know the percentage, but that's why a huge percentage of us are not millionaires. And that's why, recovery as a whole versus the people, like there's 25 million people in recovery. I think it's way more than that now, probably.
Yeah.
25 million people in recovery, and the small percentage of those are the ones who actually make it, because it requires discipline. It requires work. It requires getting out of your comfort zones. I tell people all the time, that's one of the most important things is that comfort zone that we love so much. I love to be comfortable. It's the addict mentality. It's the human nature, is comfortability. It's the brain, really. It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
It's survival mode. It's comfortability. I don't want to get out of my shell. I'm incredibly comfortable at the bar at 9 a.m.
Well, the stress hormones are powerful.
I'm incredibly
Very
comfortable.
powerful.
I'm incredibly comfortable shooting dope in my arm all day long in a room, sweating bullets.
Yeah.
I'm thanks, Chris. I'm incredibly comfortable. I was more than comfortable. I did very well in prison and jail. And that's crazy. Like, I would go to prison all the time, and just be like, this is home. Mm-hmm. And I feel good here. I'm okay. I got structure. I got this.
You want to know why?
That's crazy.
Because you could predict the outcome. Once
you
you understood how it worked and you can predict it,
every day,
it becomes comfortable.
Right. So the whole purpose, if anybody who wants to acquire anything in their life, and you can fill in the blank on that one too, is getting outside your comfort zones. That's one of the most important things. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's the key.
Right.
100%. Once you have gotten comfortable with the feeling and you've attached it to the purpose, right? A purpose is something you feel. It's not something you find.
That's important.
So once you can attach that discomfort to the purpose of why you're feeling it and the end result of what you're going for, like one of the magic life coaching questions that I like to always hit people with was, if we're done here today and you go home and you do your normal thing and you go to sleep, and when you wake up, everything that you wanted to change has been changed. How would that make you feel? And you let them sit with it for a minute. And then what would need to change in order for that to happen? So you start with the end result and you work backwards. Mm-hmm. It's the same way that big millionaires make their money. They go, okay, I need to make $1 million. How am I going to do this? Right? Well, I need to sell $1,000 or $1,000 product to 100 people, or whatever the math is, 10,000. Like that, they just work backwards. Right. And then they put the value on the things as they work backwards. But you have to get the goal in mind and then build your plan backwards.
Reverse engineer.
Forward thinking starts backwards, because we're already thinking backwards anyways. If we're waiting for the outside world to make us feel better inside, we're already backwards anyways.
I think that's the number one thing that we need to put across. And I know we've said it probably 1,000 times. It's like, quit looking for outside sources to make you happy or content. Content's a big word for me.
You will be ultimately let down 100% of the time. You may seek a little bit of gratification for a moment in time.
You'll find it. But when it's taken away, or when it goes away, or when it walks away, you're going to be crushed. And I think that all boils back down to purpose. And truly navigating your way to that purpose and what that looks like and what it is, right?
Yeah.
I think when I first started doing what I'm doing in early recovery and in the businesses and things that it was because this purpose hit me in the face. And it's not something I noticed at first. I look back, a year or two later and realized what it actually was. Like I had been good at so many different things in my life. And suddenly I'd found something that I'm great at.
And see, I wasn't even there for that, and I could almost paint you a picture of what that looked like.
I guarantee it.
That I just know that there's just this feeling that you get inside when you serve someone and you are genuinely helping them help themselves, right? Like you can't fix them, but you're mapping out a plan for them. If they implement this plan and you follow this plan, I've done this, I've seen this. If you follow this in your own way, it'll work. And they do it. There is a high that if I could put that in a pill, I would be stupid rich. Because that is a high.
I would take two of those
does
pills.
not, of course you would. It doesn't go away. And I get the same feeling, like I hate public speaking, but I hate it because it makes me so uncomfortable.
There it is.
But as soon as I'm done, I feel on top of the world. I am dripping sweat.
Yeah.
I don't even remember half the stuff I said because it just came out. And
Only thing you remember is that one spot in it where you're like, why did I say that?
Right.
Why did I say
We
that?
go to this negative thinking pattern because the negative is 7 to 10 times stronger than positive. So we're wired against ourselves, which is why the 1%ers are the only ones that succeed, because they got used to that discomfort of these negative thoughts and not letting it overpower them. When I sat down with this family over the weekend, the first thing I said was, are you all ready to get uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because I'm uncomfortable because I don't really know many of you. I knew one of the relatives,
right.
but I'm going to tell you the truth and you're not going to like it, but it is the truth. And this is how it works. And this is what's going on. And this is what to look for.
And this is what's going to happen if you go this way, and this is what's going to
Right.
happen.
So take
if you
your
go that way.
rose-colored glasses off
Right.
and get ready for the truth.
Yeah.
Because this is the world that this person lives in. I have done it. I've seen it. And I'm going to prepare you for every side of it. Take this information as you will. And when I left, I left. I didn't let it worry me, deal with it. I left what I left on the table. That was my purpose. I felt good for doing it. And I moved on with my day because I can't change anything else.
Nope. All you can do is plant seeds, right?
Right.
And hoping they sprout.
I just stay focused on my purpose in life. And that's what you were talking about. So I guarantee that first person that you helped had this burning passion that you didn't even notice at first because you probably felt guilty for it. There was this, I feel like I have to do this because I got to pay back, right? Like I got my recovery and now this is my job to give back. It is your job.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's not your purpose.
Nope.
So you felt this, I don't know, this little bit of guilt of like, I had to do that anyway, so I don't deserve anything for it.
Well, if I remember any guilt at all, it was because I had to again, get outside my comfort zone. I had to get outside what I was getting. I had plans for that day. I wanted to go do this,
Right.
and this, and I had to detour off those plans. I had to sacrifice what I wanted to do to go over and do this to help another person. And I remember that going, man, I want to go. I think I wanted to go to the laundromat to that day, at that time. I had it in my plans.
Yep.
It was in my mapped out plan for the
Right.
day. At 5:00, I'm going to the laundromat,
Right.
and then I get a call. And then I had to go over here, and I felt like, oh man, I don't want to do this
Until
it happened.
you saw that spark in that person's eye when they're like, I get what you're saying, man. And just that little bit of hope.
And the thing about that is like, I didn't do that. I don't think I did that because I thought I had to. I just did that because who I was,
Okay.
and I didn't know that at the time, right? And then all these things started happening like that, and it really. I spent 2 years in isolation, and this is 2 years, right? 2 full years in pretty much isolation with myself, by myself, and some books. And in that time is what we talked about at the beginning of this show was I worked on me, and I became who I was 2 years later Didn't know, when it finally hit me that somebody needed my help and I was able to do it, it came second nature.
Because you're a byproduct.
Because that's
just
who
how it works.
I didn't know this, but I was training myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was training for this one in particular situation, which I wish I was aware of it at the time, because maybe I would have felt a little more different about it. It was just that I didn't seek out. My goal wasn't, so I'm going to go help people. I'm going to go become this and this and this.
It's a natural byproduct of helping yourself.
That's what it was. And I spent 2 years, man, 2 long, lonely years focused on me, my feelings, my thoughts, mainly by my behavior and how I reacted to people. Even in situations where I was confronted with a violent person, and I change my behavior. Normally, I pop off.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Always been that guy, especially in the jail, right? I'm popping off before you even say the words out your mouth.
Survival technique in jail.
How I've always been.
Yeah.
I've trained myself on 3 different occasions in there where somebody came at me, and I de-escalated the situation, and I walked away, and that was the hardest thing I ever did. I did it purposely, and I did it I could have walked up and down. I could have dog walked this dude up and down the block, all 3 of them, and I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And I hated it at the time, but what it did is that was just part of training my behavior in reacting and not reacting to situations and outside influences.
Well, the best way to win a true battle is to never have to fight.
It was the opposite of who I became and who I wanted to be. And I knew, I want to stay sober is my main goal. I want to stay sober and have a good life, right? If I pop this dude in the mouth, I could still stay sober and have a good life. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I also knew that I couldn't.
Right.
Because I have to change these little things about me in order to do the good things that I want to get accomplished.
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy when I look back on it.
No, I love it. And that's what I mean by this is the byproduct of. When I focus on me and I really get to the core of me, the truth of me comes out. It's the strongest vibrational frequency that a human being can carry is the truth. The minute you get honest with yourself and you start spreading that to the world, it just becomes like a virus where it's just infecting everybody.
And that was that just made me realize something too, because that's what it was. I was getting honest with myself about why I needed to pop. This is just a scenario, right?
Yeah.
But it was, I was a very, I've been in and out of prison, in and out of jails, in and out the streets my whole life, and fighting was a huge part of that. But it was about me being honest with myself. Why did I need to dog walk this dude? Why? Because my ego.
Oh, of course.
Because I not because I would feel good about it. It's because I needed to show everybody else that I do that.
You
know
felt
what I mean?
in those moments that proving something meant showing everybody else. And every time you were done, you were left empty.
I was left empty, but the goal was accomplished. Everybody knew.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it did nothing for you.
Nothing. Oh, it got me in trouble every damn time.
That's what I'm saying. Now you've almost
made
become
my
a bigger
matters-
target, right?
Right.
Because they're like, oh, he thinks he's bad. Now I'm going to bring on this. It becomes this battle, this challenge versus as soon as that changed and shifted, people are always more afraid of the quiet person that doesn't want to fight.
Guarantee it.
Because they're like, why? Like, why doesn't he have something to prove? He must know that he can do whatever he needs to do, and I'm not going to win in this situation. That is always the person you worry about.
Well, it's just like in a block or in a jail or on the streets. I never worry about the dude who's loud, popping off loud. I'm worried about the guy standing beside him who's sitting there quiet.
Just waiting.
Just waiting.
Just know, he knows.
What I mean?
The whole thing's playing out.
100%.
He knows exactly what's going down.
He already he's 10 moves ahead of me. You know what I mean?
Just don't overcomplicate life, one step at a time.
Stop making excuses.
Stop waiting for the things that you want outside of you to fill a void inside of you. That's not how it works. So if you want to simplify it, stop with the wants. Become who you are and who you desire. Somebody's looking for their purpose. Just start getting. You have to get attached to those feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings are not a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're really not. And as soon as you can embrace them and enjoy them and understand them, you will all of a sudden see your whole life shift. And that's the secondary part of that's working on my problems, because we've all got them. Every single one of us have problems. And if you want to focus on your problems, you will become the great problem solver.
Amen.
And you will become successful in every aspect of life.
So get up off your ass and start doing. Expect nothing, blame no one, and just do, guys. Just
Guaranteed.
do.
Every time.
Just do. We
Absolutely.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.